What if the heaviest thing you are carrying right now is actually the very thing that is being used to build the strongest version of you that has ever existed? What if every silent tear you swallowed in the dark, every sleepless night you spent worrying about people who do not even know you are struggling, every smile you forced on your face while your chest was burning with pain, what if none of that was wasted? What if the universe was not punishing you but preparing you? What if the weight on your shoulders right now is not meant to break your back, but meant to build your spine? What if the man who carries the most without complaining is not the weakest man in the room, but the most powerful force that room has ever witnessed? What if your silence is not your surrender, but your strategy? What if everything you have been quietly enduring has been writing the greatest chapter of your life, a chapter that will one day make someone else believe that they too can survive? Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you is going to change the way you see every single burden you have been carrying alone. What if the man who never complains is actually the man closest to his breakthrough? What if the burden you carry in silence right now is the very price of the greatness that is waiting for you just beyond this moment of pain? I want to speak today not to the man who has everything figured out. I want to speak directly to the man who wakes up every single morning and picks up a weight that nobody else can see. I want to speak to the man who lies awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, not because he is lazy, but because his mind never stops carrying the responsibility for everyone around him. I want to speak to the man who shows up every single day with a smile on his face while something inside of him is quietly breaking. You know who you are, and today you need to hear this. There is a truth about strength that the world has completely misunderstood. The world thinks strength is loud. The world thinks strength is visible. The world celebrates the man who shouts his victories from the rooftop, but the world completely ignores the man who quietly fights his battles in the basement. The world does not know what you know, that the real war is never fought on a stage in front of applause. The real war is fought in private, in silence, in the moments when you had every reason to quit and you chose, despite everything, to keep going. That choice, that silent, invisible, unappreciated choice, is the most powerful decision a human being can make. There is something that happens inside a man who carries more than he shows. Something extraordinary, something that cannot be manufactured, something that cannot be bought or taught in any classroom or copied from any other human being. When a man takes on a burden that is heavier than what most people could survive, when he absorbs the pressure without exploding, when he takes the storm and stands in the middle of it without falling, something changes inside of him at the deepest level. His character is being forged, not polished, forged. There is a difference. Polishing is surface. Forging is fire. And you, my friend, you have been in the fire. The fire does not come to destroy you. The fire comes to make you into something that ordinary comfort could never produce. What if I told you that your greatest asset right now is not your talent, not your education, not your connections, not even your hard work? Your greatest asset right now is the fact that you are still here. You are still standing. You are still breathing. You are still fighting. After everything, after every loss, after every betrayal, after every door that closed in your face, after every night you had nothing left and still found a way to give, you are still here. Do you understand how rare that is? Do you understand that most people would have stopped long before they reached the point where you are standing right now? The fact that you are still here, that is not ordinary. That is extraordinary. That is evidence that there is something inside of you that cannot be broken. Now, I need you to understand something about the nature of thought, because everything begins here, in the mind. The thoughts you consistently hold about your situation are quietly determining the outcome of your situation. A man who looks at his burden and thinks this is going to destroy me will be destroyed. But a man who looks at that exact same burden and thinks this is going to develop me will be developed. The burden does not change. The weight does not change. But the direction of the outcome changes completely based on what the man holding the weight decides to believe. This is not positive thinking in some shallow motivational sense. This is a law. It works whether you believe in it or not. It works whether you are aware of it or not. Your dominant thoughts are not just reflecting your reality, they are constructing it. So the question is not how heavy is your burden. The question is, what are you thinking while you carry it? Most men who carry too much in silence are carrying something else along with their responsibilities. They are carrying a false belief that asking for help is weakness. They are carrying the dangerous idea that a real man handles everything alone. They are carrying the crushing weight of an identity that says if I show my struggle, I lose my value. And that belief, that one invisible belief, is heavier than every visible burden combined. Let me say something that might be uncomfortable for some of you. Strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is the decision to keep moving in the presence of struggle. Real strength is not pretending the weight is not heavy. Real strength is acknowledging the weight, understanding the weight, and then deciding with full awareness that the destination is worth every ounce of what the journey costs. There is a principle I want to plant in your mind today, and I want you to carry it with you long after this moment is over. Every great achievement in the history of humanity was born from someone who refused to stop at the point where most people stopped. Every breakthrough came after a breakdown. Every dawn came after the darkest hour. Every man who is remembered by history was at some point a man who was carrying more than he could show, carrying more than the people around him could even understand. And he kept going anyway, not because the path was clear, not because success was guaranteed, not because anyone believed in him. He kept going because he had made a decision, a definite, burning, unshakable decision that he would not be defined by his circumstances, but that he would define what his circumstances produced in him. I want you to look at your life right now. Look at everything you are carrying. Look at the responsibilities on your shoulders, the people depending on you, the bills waiting to be paid, the dreams you have put on hold, the pain you have been managing silently, the future you are still fighting for despite every indication that it might not come. I want you to look at all of that, and I want you to see it differently starting today, because that weight, every single pound of it, is not evidence that life is unfair to you. That weight is evidence that you were built for something significant. Small purposes do not require great sacrifice. Easy destinations do not require difficult journeys. The weight you are carrying is proportional to the destination you are walking toward. And if your burden feels impossible sometimes, maybe it is because your purpose is bigger than you have allowed yourself to fully believe. There is something the world never tells the man who carries in silence, and it is this: you are being watched, not by human eyes, not by a crowd waiting to applaud. You are being watched by something much more profound, the universe. The invisible intelligence that governs this existence is watching every silent choice you make. Every moment you chose your family over your comfort. Every moment you showed up exhausted and gave anyway. Every moment you swallowed your pride and kept going. Every moment you smiled through pain because someone needed your strength more than you needed to fall apart. None of that was wasted. None of it disappeared. Every single invisible sacrifice was being recorded. And at the right moment, at the moment that cannot be rushed and cannot be delayed, the return on that investment will arrive. And it will arrive with an interest that will take your breath away. But here is what I need you to understand. Do not carry your burden with resentment. Do not carry your responsibility with bitterness. Because the moment bitterness enters the equation, the moment you begin resenting the very people you are sacrificing for, you poison the sacrifice. You empty it of its power. A man who gives with resentment is not building anything. He is destroying himself quietly from the inside. Give with intention. Give with awareness. Give because you have decided that the people you love and the purpose you serve are worth the price. That decision, the conscious, intentional decision to give freely and willingly, transforms the act of carrying from a burden into a privilege. From a prison into a purpose. I want to speak now directly to that part of you that is tired. Not physically tired, though you may be that too, but the part of you that is soul tired. The part that has been strong for so long that it has forgotten what it feels like to be held instead of holding. The part of you that cries in private so that you can be steady in public. The part that has not told anyone how close you have come to your breaking point because you do not want to worry the people who depend on your strength. I see you. That part of you deserves to be acknowledged. You have been carrying something that most people could not carry, and you have been doing it with a grace and a dignity that is quietly inspiring people around you, even when you do not know it. Children are watching you and learning what it means to be resilient. Your struggle, though invisible, is a living sermon being preached to everyone in your life. Now, let me tell you what is on the other side. On the other side of every difficult season is a version of you that could only be produced by that difficult season. On the other side of this weight is a strength that could never have been developed in comfort. On the other side of this silence is a story. A story so powerful that when you finally tell it, it will give someone else the permission they needed to believe that they can survive their own storm. Your pain has a purpose beyond you. Your endurance has a reach beyond your own life. The man you are becoming through this process is not just a better version of you, he is a light for other people who are walking in the same darkness you are walking through right now. So do not quit. Not today, not because it is easy, not because someone is watching, not because the results are visible. Quit not because every sacrifice has a harvest, because every seed planted in pain grows into something that no season of comfort could have ever produced. Because you are not just building a life, you are building a legacy. And legacies are not built in comfort. They are built in the quiet, invisible, unrewarded moments where a man had every reason to stop and chose, with everything in him, to continue. The man who carries more than he shows is not a victim of his circumstances. He is the architect of something the world has not yet seen. He is writing a story in real time that will outlast him. He is demonstrating every single day that a human being is capable of absorbing more than they thought, giving more than they planned, enduring longer than they imagined, and becoming greater than they ever dared to believe. You are that man. And everything you are carrying right now is the raw material of the greatest chapter of your life. You are not at the end of your story. You are in the most important chapter of it, and the best, I promise you, is still ahead.